In a chilly stone cottage in Yorkshire, England, during the winter of 1347 AD, you rest on a straw-filled mattress amid the biting cold. The wind whistles through the cracks in the wooden walls, and your breath is visible in the icy air. Your husband's rough hand finds yours beneath a coarse wool blanket, and for a brief moment, you savor the connection. But the intimacy is shattered by the hacking cough of your mother-in-law, asleep just 3 feet away on her own pallet. Beyond her, your 2 young children stir uneasily in their shared bed, while in the corner, the pregnant sow, a critical asset for your family's survival through spring, snorts softly. This is how intimacy unfolds in the medieval world. Stolen glances amid the snores of kin, whispered affections drowned by the crackle of fading embers, each touch and breath under scrutiny by those sharing the cramped space. Privacy, as understood today, is a foreign concept in 1347, a notion as unfathomable to the peasants of the time as the idea of traveling to the stars. In this single-room dwelling, maybe 8 or 10 souls span 3 generations. Your husband's aging father occupies the warmest spot by the hearth, seeking relief for his aching joints in its heat. An unmarried brother sleeps near the door, ready to defend the household. If fortune favors you, 2 servants might huddle in the barn with the livestock when weather permits, but during the bitterest months, they join the crowded quarters, barely larger than a modern studio apartment. Yet, despite the constraints within this tangled web of humanity, couples find ways to nurture love, conceive children, and maintain the familial bonds necessary for survival. Their techniques, shaped by necessity, are refined over generations and passed down in whispered guidance from mother to daughter, father to son. Medieval homes reflect this reality of communal living. Even in more affluent households, the Great Hall serves as a shared domain where the entire household gathers. Though a lord and lady might escape to a solar, a semi-private chamber, such spaces nonetheless often harbor multiple kin. Archaeological records from 13th century manor houses in England reveal bedchambers containing multiple beds, sometimes separated only by tapestries or wooden screens. In a peasant's cottage, space is rarer still. The single room doubles as a kitchen, workshop, dining area, and sleeping quarters. The hearth, the sole source of warmth and light, brings everyone together. Furniture is minimal, a collapsible table, a few stools, high beds that signify a significant investment. These beds are raised to evade drafts and vermin, focusing more on survival than comfort. The mattress, a sack filled with straw, feathers, or rags, is covered with cloth the family can afford, linen for the wealthy, coarse wool, or hemp for the poor. Bed linens, often a luxury, are shared among several families and washed monthly at best, contingent on water availability. But physical constraints were only part of the story. Medieval society was governed by rigid hierarchies and codes of conduct. The church deemed sexual desire sinful, permissible only within marriage and solely for procreation. Public affection was discouraged, and marital intimacy demanded discretion. These rules wove a web of unspoken customs. Couples signaled their desires through subtle acts, a lingering touch when sharing a cup of ale, a knowing glance across the fire, a quiet suggestion to check the livestock. These coded messages had to be clear to the intended recipient, yet invisible to watchful eyes of kin or servants. Intimacy required meticulous timing. Harvest season, with its dawn-to-dusk labor, often left couples too weary for affection. Winter posed its own trials. The cold made undressing perilous. Early darkness condensed activities around the hearth, and cramped quarters amplified every sound. spring offered the best chances for solitude. Warmer days and longer life allowed couples to slip away to fields, ostensibly to inspect crops or gather herbs. Forests provided hidden nooks, though such ventures risked encounters with bandits, beasts, or nosy neighbors who might report indiscretions. Summer brought long workdays, but also moments of seclusion in fields during midday heat, when others rested in the shade. Yet, harvest seasons swelled households with laborers, relatives, or migrants, further crowding tight spaces. The church's calendar imposed further restrictions. Numerous feast days, fasts, and penitential periods, Advent, Lent, and major holidays prohibited marital relations. Even within marriage, intimacy was permitted only 4 days a week, excluding Wednesdays, Fridays, and Sundays. Pregnancy added complexity. Church doctrine halted relations once a woman's pregnancy was evident, and a 40-day purification period post-childbirth extended abstinence. Yet, these enforced pauses heightened anticipation, deepening reunions. Midwives, keepers of intimate knowledge, offered discreet advice on timing, positioning, and contraception, often shared in whispers during childbirth when men waited outside. Children posed the greatest challenge to privacy. Most slept in the same room as their parents into adolescence. Separate bedrooms were a privilege of the elite. Young children often ignored their parents' quiet moments, but older ones required delicate handling. Families developed a system of selective ignorance. Children learned to sleep soundly, overlook certain sounds, and respect adult boundaries. Parents mastered silent, minimal movements, conducting intimacy in whispers. Bed curtains, often a household's priciest possession, muffled sounds and blocked sight lines, carving out a fragile sense of seclusion. Physical challenges abounded in the lives of medieval couples. Unwashed bodies, clothing worn day and night, and persistent vermin made intimacy a careful dance. Bathing was a rare luxury, monthly for the wealthy, less often for the poor. Seasonal rhythms shaped intimacy's patterns. Winter's long, cold nights made shared warmth a necessity, while spring's renewal sparked energy. Summer offered outdoor escapes, and autumn's harvest festivities brought rare joy. Economic pressures also played a role. Scarcity dulled desire, but prosperity after a good harvest rekindled affection. Alcohol, safer than water, loosened inhibitions during festivals, though guests often crowded homes further. Seasonal migrations, like sending livestock to distant pastures, briefly reduced household numbers, offering rare solitude. Delayed marriages, often into one's 20s or 30s, built intense anticipation within the bounds of Christian morality. Arranged marriages, common across classes, required couples to cultivate affection over time. These bonds, forged in shared hardship, often proved deeper than the fleeting passions of courtly love tales. Legal and theological frameworks shaped intimacy. Canon law granted husbands authority over their wives' bodies, but urged moderation. Women, seen as more lustful, faced scrutiny yet were acknowledged as essential to conception, creating a tangle of desire and guilt. Practices like bundling, courting couples sharing a bed, clothed and bound, balanced desire with restraint. Contraception, though condemned, thrived in secret networks of women sharing herbal knowledge. The Black Death of 1347 to 1351 reshaped households. Survivors gained space and resources, and death's shadow shifted attitudes toward pleasure. Religious reforms, like mystical Christianity's emphasis on spiritual bonds, offered new relationship models. Guilds, fostering complex household dynamics, required masters' wives to balance intimacy with managing apprentices. Time, unmarked by clocks, followed natural and religious rhythms, creating spontaneous opportunities for connection. Music, storytelling, and shared meals fostered emotional intimacy, while communal tasks like cooking or grooming built wordless bonds. Hospitality duties, welcoming travelers, strained privacy but showcased partnership. Pilgrimages offered rare freedom, strengthening bonds through shared trials. Legal systems policed domestic behavior and community surveillance via gossip or public shaming, enforced propriety. Mental health, understood as spiritual imbalance, added complexity, as did extended family obligations. Fosterage, sending children away, and economic pressures tied intimacy to broader social networks. As the fire dims in that Yorkshire cottage, you and your husband weave love from fleeting touches and shared glances. Intimacy isn't found in solitude, but in the choice to cherish each other amid witnesses. Your bond, a quiet flame, burns through hardship, defying a world that offers no privacy.